You ever watch a show that starts off brilliant, hooking you in with its clever storytelling, only to crash and burn so spectacularly that you're left fuming? That's exactly what happened with the V franchise. What began as one of the smartest, most intense sci-fi miniseries of the 80s, thanks to the vision of Kenneth Johnson, spiraled into an absolute disaster of a TV series that insults your intelligence and leaves you hanging in the worst way possible. Trust me, when we're done, you'll be just as frustrated as I am. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Damon, and today I want to talk about a series I enjoyed a lot when I was younger and still do to this day, but I've noticed a few issues along the way. The V franchise is a fascinating mix of science fiction and political allegory, beginning with the powerful V, the original miniseries, and continuing through the thrilling V, the final battle. But the entire experience takes a sharp nosedive with the frustrating mess that is the series. Here's an honest, no-holds-barred review. V, the original miniseries, 1983. The original miniseries, crafted by Kenneth Johnson, is an absolute gem of 1980s television. It introduces the Visitors, an alien race that arrives on Earth under the guise of peace and cooperation, only to reveal their true, horrifying intentions of domination and exploitation. Sharp political allegory. The series stands out for its biting allegory to fascism, particularly drawing parallels to the rise of Nazism. The story's depiction of societal manipulation, media control, and the slow erosion of freedoms is both chilling and brilliant. Strong characters. The cast is fantastic, with Mark Singer as the courageous Mike Donovan, Faye Grant as the determined Juliet Parrish, and Jane Badler's unforgettable portrayal of the chillingly charismatic Diana. Impressive effects. For its time, the visual effects are impressive, especially the revelation of the Visitors' true reptilian nature, which still holds up as an iconic moment in sci-fi history. Sure, the pacing can feel slow by today's standards, but it's all about building the tension and depth of the story. And yes, some of the 80s fashion and dialogue are relics of the past, but that's part of the charm. V, or the original miniseries, is a masterful blend of sci-fi and political commentary, and it remains one of the most intelligent and gripping miniseries of its era. Dive, The Final Battle, 1984. The sequel miniseries continues the battle between humanity and the Visitors. Originally intended to follow Kenneth Johnson's vision, his departure led to a more action-packed, less nuanced conclusion. The final battle delivers on thrills, ramping up the action and suspense as the Resistance intensifies their fight against the Visitors. Character development. The continuation of the characters' arcs is satisfying, with Mark Singer and Faye Grant returning, and new characters like Michael Ironside's Ham Tyler adding a grittier edge to the story. Big conclusion. The final showdown is intense, delivering a cathartic, if somewhat predictable, end to the Visitors' occupation. Without Johnson's guiding hand, the sequel sacrifices some of the original's depth for more straightforward action and spectacle. The story becomes more formulaic, leaning heavily on the classic good versus evil trope without the nuanced storytelling that made the original so compelling. While V, the final battle, doesn't quite reach the intellectual heights of its predecessor, it's still a satisfying, action-packed conclusion that gives fans the big dramatic ending they were hoping for. V, the series, 1984 to 1985, and then there's V, the series, the full-fledged weekly TV show that picks up after the final battle. What should have been an opportunity to explore the rich world of V further instead turns into a frustrating, infuriating waste of potential. Diana's villainy, Jane Badler's Diana, is still a standout. She's deliciously evil, and her presence adds some much-needed flair to the otherwise lackluster series. But where do we even start with the rest? The writing quickly becomes inconsistent and lazy. The weekly format drags the show down with repetitive, uninspired plot lines that make you wonder if anyone in the writer's room, Maurice Hurley or Daniel Blatt, was even paying attention to what made the original so special. Instead of exploring complex ideas, the series leans into formulaic, shallow conflicts that insult your intelligence. The real kicker is how badly they drop the ball. With a slashed budget, dumbed-down storylines, and characters flattened out to the point of being unrecognizable, the series squanders all the potential it had. The narrative becomes so predictable and tedious that you're left wondering why you even bothered to tune in each week. And then, as if to add insult to injury, the series ends abruptly with zero resolution. The series was unceremoniously cancelled, leaving fans hanging in the worst possible way. After investing time in these characters and this story, what do viewers get? A giant, unresolved mess. It's infuriating how badly the series failed to stick the landing, betraying the promise of the miniseries and leaving a sour taste that lingers long after the final episode. The series is a textbook example of how not to follow up a beloved story. It's a tragic waste of potential, marred by lazy writing, poor production values, and an unforgivable non-ending. For fans of the original miniseries, it's a bitter disappointment that tarnishes what should have been a triumphant expansion of the V universe. The V franchise started with such promise, delivering a powerful, thought-provoking story in the original miniseries and an action-packed conclusion in the final battle. But the series that followed is a colossal misfire, squandering everything that made the original special and leaving fans with nothing but frustration. It's a classic case of a franchise that flew too close to the sun, and the burn is still felt decades later. I'm Snake Demon, and this has been The Snake Pit. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where I won't read them.